Welcome, warrior. This is Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. Let's get to it. This is how can we not start by addressing what happened today in Minnesota, Minneapolis? I mean, how can we not talk about our precious children that we send off to school 8 o'clock in the morning, and then we get a call a half hour later that something horrendous has happened. But first, before we begin, let us have a check-in, please. 5 by 5. If you can hear me, if you can see me, if you can, Fred. There's Fred. Fred, one of our biggest warriors. Thank you, Fred, for providing these memberships for our viewers, for our listeners. As I tell you all the time, it is so important we get this information out, this discussion, these take actions, these resources into the public's hands. So thank you, Fred, for always being there and all of your great comments and all of your help. From the bottom of my heart, it is so greatly, greatly appreciated. I see that Edie is there. Let's make sure everybody can hear me before we, Lionel. Nation says loud and clear, Edie and Fred. There's my trio. That is good enough for me. This is, I'm curious about your feelings about today, because my focus when I hear about something like this horrendous tragedy, you'll notice I don't use certain words, but you all know what I'm talking about. I will never use the criminal's name who did this. I'll never be showing a picture. I'll never be focused on that person. My focus immediately goes to children, families. What must our kids be thinking? I can't imagine the horror of, like I said, dropping your child at school, going off to your job, going back home, and then getting a call a few minutes later that this has occurred. That being said, we live in a society today, and we have said this at the Warriors continually, it's different. Everything is different from how we grew up, what we knew, how it should be. None of that matters. We have to deal with reality and what's happening today. And what's happening today is we need to have at every school. We just had that shooting, I'm going to use the word now, in New York City on Park Avenue a couple of weeks ago, right? Where the criminal strolled in, did what he had to do. Every school, place of business, I'm sorry. We need to have, not my ideas, I've thought about this, but I'm hearing it also, ex-law enforcement who would be more than happy to be armed and to stand at our school, doors, one way in, one way out. Doors push out. A lot of schools have these side and back doors, but you can't get in. So everything is streamlined. Also, we have to address with our children, age appropriate. We have to let them know what's going on, because look at all the kids who've got 9 to 17. What do I always tell you? They have access to 4 devices in their homes, the laptops, the phones, the gaming consoles. They're hearing and seeing these visuals. So we have to step up and be that warrior and take action and talk to them about these issues, because you know what goes on in anybody's mind, but children's minds, and the unknown or not questions not being answered. And and I know that means that the mind just kind of wanders and could create scenarios, all kinds of things. So let's be armed with, facts, and listening to our kids and talking to our kids and going over this with them. But we must, all of that is well, good and fine until every single school, place of worship, business, in my warrior's opinion, has armed guards that are visual. And that includes, from what I understand, this criminal was shooting from outside into the church. This was a Catholic school. This was their third day of school. Every Wednesday they have a mass in the adjacent church, which means we need security also on perimeters, walking around. And I don't want to hear, which we hear about everything with child safety, digital safety, online, real time. We don't have the resources. I think it's time everybody step up and create the resources for this, because we sure have the resources for a lot of other countries, but I'll leave that one alone. But we must take active steps. I know a lot of schools have started this. We need it. Places of worship, again, businesses, our schools. We must keep our children safe. Now, it's coming forth that this 23-year-old is trans. All I'm going to say about this is when you take children and pump them up, again, I don't know the story other than this person's mother worked in the school. This person's 23. This person was called by one name, a male name. Now it's a female or a male name now. And the mother changed the name in 2020. But when you pump up kids with all kinds of hormones, I don't know if that's the case, I'm just saying, and they're hormonal anyway in their development as teens. I mean, what is going on here? So we're not doing a service for our youth. We're not doing a service for all the kids in its entirety. And I want to look at some of your comments because I want to see if anybody has anything constructive here to say. Let's see. Aaron, we're not talking about a dirty ditty right now. The only thing I'll say is the sentencing is October 3rd. It's been all quiet on that front. When I have something to say about that, I will. But there's nothing right now other than he's sitting in a jail cell thinking of ways how he can be freed and perform at Madison Square Garden or the Super Bowl halftime show. So that's about the update with that. Liz Solak says, evening, everyone. Hi, Liz. Edie. Okay, Edie's educating Aaron on some stuff. Everybody's saying hello to each other. Okay, so let's get back to this. So I'm curious, does anybody have any thoughts on what happened today? Because we need to talk to our kids. Can you imagine our children? And I'm tired, and you must be tired too, of, disgruntled youth. Yeah, there are a lot of disgruntled youth, and they don't go around killing people like this. So until we really confront the truth here, the realities of what's going on, and take proactive measures to secure perimeters, as I like to say, around our schools, and have cameras in every school, and stop this before somebody can even start with these horrendous acts. Fred says, how can we judge when mental illness becomes homicidal? Well, that would be, I would say, within the community. I am no expert. I'm not a doctor. The mother worked in the school. I bet you it'll come out that he was a student also back in the day in the school. And he hates the Catholic Church because of their view perhaps on trans. And we already heard that he hates Donald Trump. But I ask you, a 20-minute, and I'll never view it, vile video, from what I understand, was posted online prior to this horrendous deed, showing everything. This went on for 20 minutes. We know there's censorship, so I'm not understanding what you're showing guns and things like that. That's not shut down. Yet if I talk about a topic that's not deemed acceptable, I've even put articles written by other people, just sharing them for our warriors. And a few times I've gotten, this goes against our community standards. They're basically facts about trafficking kids. I didn't even write it. So there is censorship, but there's never there's not censorship a lot. CSAM, child sexual abuse material, or somebody like this who's laying it all out there, showing his notebooks, showing what he's going to do, showing his hatred for Donald Trump. Why is that nipped in the bud right away? Because there is the technology to shut people down immediately, but it's not used for certain things. So let's see. As far as that goes, Fred, it would be up to those around him. His mother, we don't know. Did he have any prior arrest records, or has he been receiving therapy, or she? I'm not sure of the situation. This person, I'll say. I don't hear anything about a father, so we don't know. But it goes along with our warriors saying, it's about in your own home and community, what you witness, what you see, how you take action, right? Because the public, they don't know this person, right? So they're not judging, they're not doing. But what about, was this person employed? So they had a boss, they had coworkers, right? What was witnessed? Was this person in school, a college, a high school, where others witnessed certain things? The mother, though, did this person live with the mother? I don't know all the details yet. So it remains to be seen as they investigate. But I always feel like with these stories, we never truly um, get, we never truly get the real stories. I always feel like something's left out. Don't you feel that way? Let's see. Edie says, let me see what Edie says. I would hope that schools will be teaching kids to be more observant and to look for crime signals. That being said, um, I know most schools, they've been doing it for years now, do these lockdowns and things. Every school is different, obviously, district by district or state by state, town by town, whatever. There's no federal, but maybe it's time we have like a federal handbook so everybody's on the same page and everybody has practices. This is the main reason as we head back to school around our country that when we do the phone free in the classrooms, the kids aren't pushing back, the parents are, because of situations like today where the parents, and they use this, what happened today, as an example of they want to be in contact with their child. They want that child to be able to contact them or they can contact the child. And after today, I don't blame them. But here's what I want everybody to do. I want every parent and guardian who has a child, from this school, I believe, was kindergarten through 8th, back to school time. You have every right, and I've said this before in the Warriors, you question your school curriculum always. You want to know what the kids are being taught. You have a right to open your mouth and join class parents, school board, open school nights, because I hear the same complaint, not only where I am in New York, but around the country. People don't show up to these type of things. So if you don't show up, 99% is showing up to something. If you don't show up, how can we affect change? But I also urge everybody going back to school, especially after today, this should be a no-brainer. How are you dealing with these situations? What emergency plan do you have in place? What can we as parents expect? Do you have a way, an overall emergency contact for all of us? You need to be part of, it's not just dropping your child at school anymore and picking them up at 3 or they come home on the school bus. You need to be an active partner in your child's education because again, it's a different world. Can't go back, leave that one alone, wish, coulda, woulda, all that stuff. It's done. Deal with what we have and keep kids safe. Keep your family safe. Go into those schools because there's power in numbers. Ask those questions. Make sure you understand. And if something is not being done, help the school. Say, we want this done. We'll help you do it. Maybe parents can get together and form that coalition that puts out the emergency contacts when something happens. We all have to participate. That is a Warriors Take Action. But, Edie, I don't know how you tell. I looked at the little faces of those children today filtering out of the school. The older kids would appear to me to be, like the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. They look genuinely like traumatized, a lot of them. These bigger kids just had a look on their face, right? And the little kids seem to kind of not be knowing what's going on. So, how do you tell a kindergartner, first grader? I guess you can teach if you see something, say something kind of in that realm, but it is up to us. It is up to that school administration. It is up to the teachers. And the teachers have to be helped. I mean, they didn't sign on for things like this to happen today, right? So it's an overall collaboration of community. And that is when we say at the Warriors, our hashtag is community creates change. Let this be, it's a horrible lesson today. I can't imagine 2 beautiful children, 8 and 10 years old, killed. I believe 7 other children are in critical condition. Numbers are fluctuating. I don't want to, speak. Most were children that were harmed today, a couple of adults. And we just can't keep witnessing this. Security must be put in place. Sensors, alarms, everything imaginable. The monies are going to have to be spent because, again, we're spending money on a lot of other things in a lot of other countries, and we need to be America first and spend it here and protect our children, protect our teachers, protect our schools, protect our families. Aren't you tired of this? Because I'm tired of this. Fred says even Chat GPT censors topics almost as bad as, well, YouTube. There's just we have to accept there's censorship. There's censorship. Gracie loves George. Yes, there is that video posted. I'll never look at it. Again, I never understand, to be a broken record, that played live for 20 minutes or played live, however long it is, 20 minutes prior to this horrendous event today, and was allowed to just be up there. Even if it started, why wasn't it shut down after 30 seconds or a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes? Showing all of this horrendous. And again, I'm not going there on purpose because I will never give any kind of recognition to this person by name or by visual or the exact, but you all know what we're talking about. And so obviously people will look at it because people are drawn to things like this. Law enforcement, certainly. I can't imagine what those poor parents, those little angels, those poor parents are going through. I don't know how your life is ever the same. I don't know now, how do you take, it's a brand new school year, and bring all those kids back to school? I mean, didn't they look so cute? They had their uniforms on. And how do you get them back, the trauma, into that building? We still have to hear the details. I believe it was all done in the church. I also heard, again, details are unfolding all day, that there were 2x4s put on the outside of doors so people couldn't push out of the church. We'll see if that... So this is evil. I don't know what else you can describe this as except evil. Somebody somewhere, whether it was the mother, an employer, did this person have friends, acquaintances? Was this person part of a group? We have angry young people. Some a lot angrier, like this one, evil, than others. So it's up to those family members to be very realistic. If you're in the presence of something like this, you see any signs, that you take action. And there are plenty of free resources of taking action, local resources, all kinds of resources for mental health that people aren't taking advantage of. And we better, because it pains me to say we will see this scenario play out again. But I think if all of us come together and talk about, you may not have children, but you pay taxes. Taxes go to public schools, right? This happened to be a Catholic school. We have charter schools. We have all kinds of schools. We must make our voices heard. Maybe town hall meetings, city council meetings, town council meetings. How are we keeping our children safe? Because remember, what do I always tell you? These are our future adults, our future leaders of America. Where are we going to be in 5 and 10 years? Where are we going to be when yesterday I'm reading all about singularity, and we will be with one, ourselves, and perhaps a bot in 5 years? We're not going to have friends. We're going to be isolated. It's all going to be AI. Now, you know, because you're followers of the Warriors, AI, artificial intelligence, is everything pretty much I am working on right now. Because to me, nothing else done in the field of child safety is as important as where we are now in this new kind of unknown, uncharted. Well, I'll say uncharted because it really is known, because there are plenty of tech people that know these things. You know, AI can be used for so much good, and we should be focusing on that. We should be focusing on the AI programs that can root out the servers and the predators, and doing it so quickly that it's not the man or woman power that takes hours and hours, and the servers are in other countries. We could do it like that with AI, artificial intelligence. Why aren't we focused on that? Why instead are we focused on, and obviously healthcare, right? It's helping with that. But we're focused now on, the administration wants, children. They're presenting, the AI challenge, and there's a monetary gift, and how we're going to for lack of better words, paraphrasing a little bit here, be the global leaders in AI, and we're forcing this artificial intelligence on our children into the education system. But I ask, because that's what I do. I ask a lot of questions. And those questions are, if we're putting AI into schools, what exactly does that mean? And that's why you, as a parent, guardian, grandparent, community member who may talk to other parents or grandparents, we have to talk about all these issues. How does that actually look? I want to know how it looks. What's going to be done in the classroom? What exactly are the kids going to be learning? Who's teaching the teachers about this? Because everybody I've questioned so far, and it's back to school in New York City, New York State, basically plays out next week, right after Labor Day. Like nobody knows. So, we also in New York State have the phone free in the classrooms. And that is still, although everybody likes it and wants it, various schools are reporting, we don't know how it's actually rolling out because we don't have a clear picture on that. I think a week before school starts, we should be having a clear answer. So everything to me is like a soundbite, kind of just PR, sound bites. And that is why so much is up to us. But let us for today focus on this back to school, this horrendous situation, and how we in our own lives can turn this, into a positive by pushing on the schools, the school boards, overall our towns to make our schools safe, because it can be done. It can be done. So we will see. Let's not talk about things, we're based on facts at the Warriors. Let's see what really comes out of this story. But to know that these little innocent souls, and to know that this will happen again, and we'll be back here talking about this again, but talk to your kids. Reassure them. They're safe with you today. They're safe with you tonight. I say that to you, but then you send them to school. Are they really safe? I don't like thinking like that, but we have to in 2025. So let's get real. Let's push on our elected representatives. Calling, emailing, texting. It's all there for you. House.gov, Senate.gov. They work for us. What are we waiting for? Let's push on our, for instance, in New York City, the city council is the most important body. Forget the mayor, forget all that stuff. It's that city council who makes laws and legislation for where you live. Here in New York, you have a city council, town council where you are. Those people are the ones you have to get to, those boots on the ground. Those are the ones you talk to. You catch you catch their ear. And remember, people get things done who show up. So you can't complain unless you show up and voice, or form a group with other, citizens and voice. It can be done. It can be done. So we have all of that going on. Oh, but it is a lot. But let's pray for these little children and their families, and let's think about them, and let's just be happy we're not dealing with that today. And let's just think about how we can make this better in our communities. The other thing, we're talking about AI, very urgent. Again, I go back to, I don't know how this is playing out. The administration putting out, the AI challenge for students, and there'll be various contests, and okay, we'll follow up on it. But our focus is doing the work we do at the Warriors. Wherever there is good, we know the predators are 10, 20 steps ahead. They're already using it with the chatbots, the character AI. They're already urging kids, kids who, for instance, this criminal today, I'll call him a criminal because this person is obviously mental issues, because people just don't go around and do that unless something is so wrong, right? So how many kids are out there with issues like this, young people? And then they're urged online by something fake, a bot. Well, we can help you with that. And I want to remind everybody that whatever, the bots are tailored to you. So, Edie, what a bot tells you when you're asking a question may be a totally different answer, suggestion than the bot's telling me. because the bot is taking our information, it's molding it to us, or how we're phrasing a question if we go on, Chat GPT, and collecting, collecting, collecting. And are you seeing these big facilities they are building to contain all of this information and data and like where, and I keep saying why? Where's it all going? They're collecting now. Everything we do, every word I'm saying right now is being collected. Every comment put into this like big mixing bowl, pouring it into Chat GPT. So bear in mind, the answer I get when asking a question or describing a scenario is most likely completely different from what you're getting. And the goal is kids. Remember, kids are the product. Kids are the future. They'll be the longest clients. They are the eyeballs. And the goal of all this big tech is money, 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 making money. Remember, when something's for free, you're the product, right? That saying's been around a long time. That's the truth. And you see now how Facebook is infiltrated. Ads left and right. X has ads. It's ads this. It's now you can premium, subscribe. Everything is a money maker. So I guess we can look forward to all of this AI. Well, we'll leave that for a minute, going behind paywalls and things, because right now they just want to reel the kids in, reel them in. And any child, young person who's lonely, I mean, I know a lot of adults doing this, but let's focus on the kids right now, is conversing or just trying, right? Because there's a lot of talk about chat bots and stuff like that. Character AI, a free program where you can create a bot in the likeness of any character you like. Could be from a movie, from a cartoon, from anime. And I say anime, I digress here because we live by the Jacob Javits Center, very big convention type center here in New York on the West Side. And it seems like, I say to my husband, we were driving past it the other day and there was a Comic Con, I think, or an anime con. And I feel like that used to be once or twice a year because I see the kids dressed up in costumes of these different characters, or it could have been an anime con. So there's a lot of interest in those type of characters and things like that with our young people. And so you can create that on the screen that you converse with constantly. And kids are spending hours, young people, telling about their day, telling about tomorrow, telling about what they like, they don't like, getting yelled at by their mother, homework, school, kids they don't like. And that bot is creating and forming that relationship with that child, that young person, right? And that then can flip. What if the child says, well, there are plenty of lawsuits right now. I mean, media is not really covering them too much, but saying to that bot, well, I don't feel like getting out of bed. I don't feel like doing anything today. And this bot may suggest something harmful. And I'm leaving out words, but I think you can connect the dots. So what are we really talking about here? On top of all, with the situation that happened today, and we have to address it with our kids, like what you sit down with them over dinner, over breakfast tomorrow. I mean, don't let a day go by because they're seeing it online. So let you talk about it. You have to every day. I'm urging you about this artificial intelligence. I mean, don't you see it on your platforms? Everything I'm doing popping up, AI companion, AI here, AI recording. Do you want this translated into AI? Everything. So we have to talk about this with the kids, because any child who's feeling vulnerable and lonely, and that's a lot of kids, or at least at some point in their lives, right, when they're young. And this is so easy, and they're just going online. It's right there for them, or they're testing it out, right? It is so harmful, and there are no guardrails. The only guardrails, us. Then I heard, we're getting back to Congress comes back next week after their very nice long monthly break, although I know it's tradition. I think so many things are going on. They shouldn't be taking a month off, but that's me. Call me wacky. But we do have an upcoming Senate roundtable on September 18th, so I'm very anxious to get to that because hear what they have to say, but also to really just talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and what are we doing about all of this? How are we helping everybody with all this? Not having contests and giving out money, but what is the actual program where we can utilize it for good? I told you, it can root out predators. It can help with research. It can help with healthcare, different businesses. It's terrific. But how actually is it rolling out for our kids K through 12, which the administration wants all the schools to employ? What exactly does that mean when at the same time, and I think about this one, we have most states, and happily, getting the phones out of the classrooms, but now we're putting this new burden of we're going to use AI in the classroom. Well, where are we using that? On the laptop? Which can, so how is that working? Are we still having laptops in the classrooms? Every classroom I go in, most kids are carrying around a laptop. Forget the phone, they have phones, laptops. So we can lock away the phones, they still have a laptop. You can still do a lot on a laptop. You can make calls on a laptop, receive messages. So we have to look at this whole big wheel, this very complex of all of these devices and how actually it's working. But don't be overwhelmed. Look for your free resources, which we always have at linswarriors.org. Look for our Take Actions you're going to be receiving. Start now. Kids Online Safety Act. Got to do something, everybody. Gearing up for that one. Gearing up for some AI things I'll keep you in the loop about. We'll see what Congress is up to beginning September 18th when we have our roundtable. I'll see what that's about. A Warriors Wednesday PSA, public service announcement. Please think about, I kid you not, every household, place of business, place of worship, school should have Narcan readily available. Illicit fentanyl is the leading cause of death, 18 to 45. That's the study. That study is old. We know kids much younger, 10, 11, 12, are poisoned. We know this because we just had National Fentanyl Prevention and Awareness Day last Thursday around the country. And we had a parent there whose daughter was 10. And they think they're taking an aspirin and it is cut with illicit fentanyl, right? Fentanyl does have a medicinal purpose, right? Cancer patients, pain, things of that. Precursors coming out of China. And I keep saying, why aren't we talking about China more with all of this and shutting that down? We're talking about the cartels a little more. But China is giving the precursors to the cartels in Mexico, who are easily filtering it throughout our country. It is here in all 50 states, and they're pressing it in these dirty pill presses, all kinds of opioids that kids think they're buying, they're buying an Oxy, a Percocet, because they're so vulnerable and they're isolated and they have anxiety and they have to take something and their friend says, here, take half of this, take the whole pill. And they're not waking up. It suppresses, breathing, slows down the heart. So many reports of parents saying, I kissed little Johnny goodnight, I kissed little Susie goodnight. They didn't get out of bed. I went into their room. And you can only imagine what the parent finds. So we have to address this as reality, and we have to say, okay, we hope we never have to use Narcan. It should be in every public space available so that if something happens, we can save a life. So start thinking about that, start talking about that. And I leave you with also, you have your assignments about schools, reading up about AI, and, share facts. Don't just follow along and share shocking things to get clicks and likes. That does not help anybody. Anything to do with sex or labor trafficking, it does a disservice to the work we do if we're not sharing good information, true facts about all. What is so disturbing about AI is, again, just a tool for the traffickers, the predators, to more easily exploit vulnerable people, all people. I mean, aren't you getting these messages? I'm getting them with all my security features. You can make $800 an hour. You can work as little as you want. Call Marie. Like, really? I don't think so. But some vulnerable girl or boy who gets that may think, you know what? We don't have any money in my household, or I'd like to have some money. I'm 15. They're going to call and they're going to get trapped. So we have so much work to do. But the most disturbing thing I learned yesterday, and I recommend, there's an interview with Penny Ronning. Please go on the channel right here and look for that. Please sign up and subscribe. It's free. It helps us out with the algorithms. Just subscribe. Hit the little bell if you like this. Help us out at the Warriors. Come on now. I have no shame. We need to be part of the algorithms. We need to break free from being held back so this information can be distributed. But Penny Ronning, please, she's a wonderful ally, colleague, has become a good friend. She's in the state of Montana. And there's so much going on in that big, vast rural state. But she is real boots on the ground. She ran for Congress. She is a co-founder of the Yellowstone Human Trafficking Task Force. She will drive 5 miles to deliver paperwork with resources. Think about Montana, this rural, just look at it on a map. Large, big. Here we have 911. Penny was describing in Montana and other places, they don't even have 911. Can you imagine in 2025, no emergency number? But they have the largest per capita illicit massage, these massage spas, parlors, whatever you want to call them. And so we will be doing a video very soon about that. Because that, according to law enforcement here in New York, they tell me that's the untapped trafficking business nobody's looking at. And they're popping up right and left. Men's spa, there's one of those a couple of blocks away. Or they're on the second floor. They just look shady to start with. Trafficking, and nobody's doing anything. It is time we look at that. But I want you to listen to Penny. And remember, the discussion we have is an hour. You can break it up. You can do 10, 20 minutes here and there and go back to it. You don't have to do a whole hour at a time, right? But she is doing such terrific work. I had the pleasure of walking the halls of Congress with her and our great friend Jan Edwards from Paving the Way Foundation. I usually do all this alone. And recently when I was with them, to have a few laughs is pretty good when you're walking on those tough marble floors of trying to sway the opinion of our representatives. But anyway, she was telling me about kids are beginning to show up in pediatricians' offices and healthcare, and the backs of their necks are curved. This curvature of the neck, right? We've heard of curvature of the spine, right? And I'm looking it up today, and they're calling it tech neck. And because so many kids have their heads, the average head is 10 to 12 pounds, I was reading. And go on our Facebook, I posted an article, 10 to 12 pounds, but somehow when you put the pressure and bend your head, it can go up to 60 pounds. Kids are coming in sore shoulders, sore backs, sore spines, headaches, eye problems. It has festered and it's coming out after all these years, this tech neck thing. And Penny said, eventually as part of the DNA, probably not in our, who knows though, I was going to say not in our lives or during our lifetime, but kids are going to be born with this curvature in their neck. So we have to remind everybody, including us, to sit up straight, keep our heads straight and talk to the kids. And how are we going to do that? And limit, I leave you with this. Get kids off the devices, start with 15 minutes a day, wean them off. Read a book, take a shower, walk a dog, plant a plant, make a salad, do something other than being on a device. Just talk. And today you're going to talk about what happened this morning, this horrendous event, in your own words, to reassure your child and your family members they are safe, they are loved, and they are with you. And with that, I want to thank, make sure I didn't miss anybody, Fred for always being here for us and gifting those memberships and helping us understand, let me see, all of a sudden all these comments are coming by. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, Edie says we're going to have a lot of Manchurian Candidate type kids running around with the look of things. Yeah, but we have to break that. We have to talk about it. Yeah. Let me see. Liz says, time to start homeschooling so kids can't be targets anymore. Well, the problem is that's the perfect, Teresa's here too. Hello, warriors. Liz, that's the perfect solution, homeschooling, but let's be realistic. Not everybody can homeschool. It's a tough thing. If you're a single parent and you have a couple of kids, you have to be at your job. How are you going to homeschool? However, I'm a great believer in making it happen. Does that make sense to everybody? Making it happen, figuring out a way to do it. I know in New York, and it happened during COVID, these learning pods would spring up. So it could be kids, as an example, like second, third, fourth grade. So you have a mix, right? Second, third, fourth. And a qualified teacher, certified teacher. It would be at the local library. Those ages would get together. It's more one-on-one. And I would talk to some of these teachers. And, or it would be at one of the children's apartments. They would kind of circulate. And it could be one day the child comes for 3 days. I mean, you have to figure out the scheduling. Or the child comes for 2 days. But it kind of works. And there are these learning pods. So for somebody who, and there's so many programs now for homeschooling. I mean, years ago, it was considered wacky if you were doing homeschooling, right? It was considered very bizarre. But we have proven studies that show how children benefit from more of this one-on-one interaction, this small environment. So I think there's a way to do this, and people have to step up and start being creative like that. And I know it's being done in New York. I don't hear anybody talking about it, but I know it's being done, and it's working out well. Why, after all, kids need, in my opinion, again, I'm not a teacher, I don't know, maybe 2.5 hours of what I call sort of school. And then they need time for creative play, parks, museums, nature, dance, sports. I think that's fine. When I went to school, it was impossible. Most nights were 4 to 6 hours of homework. That is too much for a child. As I got into high school, I would actually say 6th grade, it started piling on. No child needs to do that kind of homework. Yes, maybe an hour a night review, which could be reading for 30 minutes or something. It's a different world. This is where we started. So we have a lot to think about. We welcome all comments. So please, lynn@lynswarriors.org. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure you're liking. Fred, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining. I am very humbled and honored that you were here. We have to keep up the fight, the good work, because truth and reality, in our warrior's opinion, will always win. But when we don't, when we stay silent, when we don't try, when we don't help each other, that is where the evil wins and the predators win. So always remember our hashtag, community creates change. Until we meet again, remember, go out each and every day and be a warrior. Thanks, everybody.